Let me start things off by introducing myself. So my name is Adriana. I use she, her pronouns. I'm one of the admission team members here on the webinar tonight. And I'm going to turn things over to my colleague, Camille, for some welcome, and then we'll go into introductions.
Thanks, Adriana. Families and students, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you guys are joining us from. My name is Camille Bouknight. I am the Director of Undergraduate Admission at Emerson College. And I just wanted to take a moment to congratulate you all on being admitted to Emerson and looking forward to really connecting and making sure that all your questions are answered throughout this evening, as well as throughout the weeks ahead as you are trying to make your final decisions as to where your future college home will be. I am going to pass it along to my colleague Raphael and Crystal to introduce themselves, and then along to some of our students to introduce themselves as well.
Thank you, Camille. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending when you're coming from. My name is Rafael Trujillo. I also work in the admission office, and I'm an Emerson alum, journalism for undergrad and master's in political communication. Really happy that you're here. Once again, congratulations. And I'll pass it along to my dear friend, Crystal.
Greetings. My name is Crystal Livingston. I'm Senior Assistant Director of Admissions at Emerson. And I am also Atlanta Regional Representative. So I'm greeting you from the beautiful city of Atlanta, Georgia. Congratulations and welcome. I'm going to pass it on to Sophia.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sophia. I'm a media arts production junior at Emerson. I'm on the Boston campus right now, and I am involved with a lot of different stuff on campus. I'm from Miami, Florida. I'm a part of the Honors College. I work a lot with Emerson Independent Video, which is one of our big film production organizations. I'm also a poetry and religion minor, and I'm going to pass it on to Chloe.
Hi, everyone. I'm a senior public relations major. I'm originally from New York, and I'm on the Boston campus right now. I'm involved with a few things on campus, but notably, I'm the social media chair for our Public Relations Student Society of America. And I've also very lucky to be to have done 3 study abroad, different opportunities at Emerson. So if you guys have any questions about PR or, our study abroad opportunities, feel free to drop a question in the chat, in the Q&A. I'm going to pass it on to Sophie.
Hi, my name is Sophie. I'm a junior writing, literature, and publishing student. I'm also in the publishing and writing BA MA +1 program. I have 3 minors. I'm a hearing and deafness minor, a music history and culture minor, and a psychology minor. I'm originally from New Jersey. I see a lot of people are too. That's exciting. And I'm involved in a lot of stuff on campus. I'm in a bunch of magazines, and I'm also the music director for an a cappella group. So yeah, super nice to see all of you here tonight.
All right. Well, we'll get back to our students in just a few minutes because they have a lot of great experiences to share with us. We did want to start off with just a little bit of information, just because there are some frequently asked questions that we can touch upon right off the bat and some information that you may find helpful. So what should you be doing next? So students in your portals, at some point, you should go ahead and reply to that offer of admission in your portal and submit your enrollment deposit if you do decide to attend Emerson. You may also want to check in on your financial aid checklist. I do want to toss this over to Camille just to talk a little bit about where we are in the financial aid process. As I'm sure you've all noticed, it's been a little bit of a funky year. If you, Camille, wouldn't mind just updating us where we're at with the FAFSA in particular, and then there are already some questions about scholarships that we can touch on here as well.
Yeah, definitely. So as we all know, like Adriana sort of mentioned, the FAFSA has been delayed several weeks. So we appreciate you all giving your patience with our financial aid office as well as our admission office as we try to work through receiving those ICER files from the federal government. Good news is those files have started to become available to colleges and universities. However, there are still some additional delays as the software that we utilize to make sure that we're assessing everybody's financial aid awards is currently being updated and tested to ensure that people are receiving accurate awards in a timely fashion. I do imagine that most financial aid awards will start rolling out within the next 2 weeks once all of that software has been updated and those ICERs are still rolling in. I will recommend for families as you are going through this process, now is the time, if you do have any corrections to make to your FAFSA, to go right back into the FAFSA website to be able to make those changes as they are now available for corrections. In addition to that, I would also recommend just getting a head start ahead of what financial aid might need from you. So if you've had a change of circumstance, if possibly your tax information might differ from what you've provided in the FAFSA versus the CSS profile, please just make sure that you're starting to pull your tax transcripts, have those W-2s ready to go in case the financial aid office asks for them. Of course, if you are going to be sending or submitting a student aid appeal, which we would look at for both merit and need-based financial aid, and it is open to both domestic students as well as non-resident. So international students can also submit that appeal form in their portal. It is something that I typically recommend for all families to do. The worst thing we can say is we can't give you any additional merit aid, or there's nothing more that we can offer you from a need-based perspective, but at least you can lay your heads down at night and know that you at least tried to get more. We will never lower your aid from an appeal. It will either remain the same or can go up. So that is something that I do like to make sure that families know. At this point, we are giving estimated awards that exclude any federally based items. So that would include any loans that are federally based, both subsidized and unsubsidized, as well as anybody who might have grants coming to them, whether those are state specific or federally specific. So things like Mass State grants, SEOG grants, which would also be for the state of Massachusetts, as well as things like Pell. So that's going to take a little bit longer once we have all of the information through those ICER files that is provided by the FAFSA. So please, of course, if you have any questions in relation to estimated cost of attendance, submitting an appeal, whether it's for merit or need-based financial aid, please feel free to email us at the admission inbox and or at the financial aid office. Both of our offices are working very closely together this season to ensure that we're getting families' questions answered in relation to these things. Thanks, Adriana.
Thank you, Camille. I think that covered a lot of it. There are a couple of additional questions that we can just perhaps tackle right now. The first would be, at what point should folks expect to hear about that appeal? It really is kind of tied to us receiving those FAFSAs for the most part, right?
Yes. So when it comes to the appeal process, we do understand that there are families who are early decisions still awaiting notifications, families that are early action and regular decisions still awaiting that information. We are trying to give as complete information as possible. So of course, if your file is still being reviewed and we are awaiting some of that financial aid information via the FAFSA uploads, we are going to sort of hold those back. Typically, if a student does have completed information and we can sort of assess or get an idea of what you would be getting from a federal standpoint, we are going to be able to send those out if it's mostly just surrounding the merit-based aid that would change. But typically, once we have everything, it can take anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks. Of course, if somebody does have an earlier deposit deadline, we are trying to ensure that those files are getting to students in a timely fashion. And we will certainly make sure that you have deposit extensions if necessary, because we don't want anybody having to make a decision without that completed information.
Great. And to answer some of the related questions about that, you do not need to wait for us to receive your FAFSA to file an appeal. In fact, you probably shouldn't wait, particularly with how things have gone this year. Go ahead and submit that. In the appeal form itself, it'll give you some information about the kinds of things that are helpful, both for the merit consideration and for the need-based consideration. If circumstances have changed, if there's new information. So all of that information is contained in there. And just as a note, we do typically, in terms of merit aid, for folks who are wondering, that is typically awarded for the entirety of your time at Emerson, or for an average time at Emerson, I should say. So 8 semesters or 4 years. So this is the one time where we award that merit aid. There may be other opportunities available later through our financial aid office, but that would be a very separate process once students are already here. All right, let's switch gears to our students for now, because they are a wealth of information and you want to hear from them, I am sure. We have a couple of questions about studying abroad. So I know we had 2 students who studied abroad. There's one particular question that starts about the Netherlands. So can you talk about the likelihood or really when students can study abroad and what kind of the major options are that we have? And I think it's Sophie and Sophia. You guys are my abroad folks. Is that right? Or I might have been right on half of that.
Sophia and Chloe.
Okay, great. Thank you. Let's start with Sophia and then Chloe, if you can chime in as well.
Yeah, I didn't go to the Netherlands, but I did a Global Pathways program, which is something that we offer for students to do over the summer. There's a bunch of options. You can find it on the Study Abroad website. They have locations change every year. I did the Screenwriters Lab in Mallorca, Spain, which was really, really awesome. I actually got to go visit some of my family that I'd never met before in the country while I was there, and I finished a screenplay. And I met a bunch of people who loved writing, and now we send each other our work back and forth and give feedback. So it's been really helpful in the long run. But they have so many different opportunities for all kinds of different disciplines. I'm sure Chloe can talk about it more because she's done way more than I have. But
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about the Castile Well program in the Netherlands. So I did that when I was a junior, but you can do the program starting from when you're a sophomore. Obviously, when you're a freshman, you want to be acclimated to the Emerson, Boston campus. So starting from your sophomore year, you're able to apply to the Castile Well program, and no matter the major, you're able to do it, which I think is what makes it so great. I know sometimes study abroad programs might be limited to certain majors, but the great thing here at Emerson is no matter your major, whether it's visual media arts or like me, public relations or marketing or even theater, you're able to, do that program. And yeah, it was overall an amazing experience. I was able to visit 8 different countries, which I know I probably wouldn't have, an opportunity to do so without this program. And I was able to make some lifelong friends. It's a great campus. You literally live in a castle, which is so exciting. We were able to visit a Dutch high school, which is super awesome. And, a bunch of amazing opportunities to travel both with the school and also independently with your friends and things like that. So definitely an amazing program. And I highly recommend everyone looking into it and seeing if that's something that you're interested in.
Excellent, thank you. And then can you also talk about our LA campus and who has the opportunity to go there major-wise and what's going on that campus? Sophie.
Yeah, I could talk about that a little bit. As I said before, did not actually go abroad anywhere. But my partner went abroad to LA, and so I got to visit them while they were there. which was super cool. Our LA campus, for those who don't know, is just one big building right in the middle of Sunset Boulevard, where you live and you have classes and there's common spaces, and it's really cool. And so that program is available to students for one semester, their junior or senior year. It's not only film students that go. There's also a lot of writing students that go, particularly people who want to do screenwriting. But it is definitely a way to get into film business if that is something you want to do. It's a program that is partnered with an internship in LA. So while you're there, you have classes and you have an internship as well. So you really get the idea of what working and living in LA at the same time is like. So it's a really cool opportunity for film students, writing students, business students, all stuff like that.
This is actually a great segue into just some questions about internships. We received a number of those ahead of time as well. I believe folks have done or are pursuing and looking at some internships. Could you guys just talk about those experiences? How do you go about looking for those internships? What resources are available for students at Emerson to tap into some of those opportunities? And if you've done one yourself, what was that experience like? Chloe, go for it.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about this. So at Emerson, I've done 2 internships, one this semester and one last semester. And, we have amazing opportunities on campus and resources. So we have our Career and Development Center. So there they can take a look at your resume. Maybe you have some interview questions or just general questions you want to have on your cover letter or things like that. And, students and also faculty provide amazing guidance on letting what are the steps you can take, what are the best resources, how to craft the perfect application, and things like that. And on top of that, Handshake is an amazing tool. A lot of colleges, not just Emerson, students use that platform, and Emerson included. So that's a great way for recruiters and companies to see, target students and say, hey, these are the programs that we have, whether that be internships or, semester programs and things like that. So I would say Handshake and the Career and Development Center are 2 amazing options that are provided by Emerson. Additionally, I reached out to my advisor and my professors, just letting them know, hey, like as a public relations student, I really want to, intern at an agency or get some of that experience. So they were able to guide me to the right places and find the right people. So definitely always reach out to your professors, and the people at Emerson are always here to help and guide you in where you want to do.
Excellent. Thank you. Sophia, let me come back to you. We have a couple questions about housing. So if you want to start us off, can you talk about what our housing requirement looks like and what that initial kind of freshman year looks like in terms of assignments versus picking your roommate and that process?
Yeah, for sure. So Emerson has a 3-year housing requirement. And the 4th year students don't have any guaranteed housing. So that's like, we have off-campus student services to help you figure that out. And there's ways to apply to get housing. But freshman year, pretty much everybody lives in the little building. That's the freshman building. And it's a really good opportunity because you're able to live in the same place as all the peers that you have that are like in your class. I know that in some other colleges, they kind of throw freshmen in with sophomores and juniors and seniors, but everybody's pretty much looking to make friends. I've made so many of my friends just being in the elevator of the little building and talking to people. So that was a really special experience. And there's also certain floors that are kind of like community floors. So they have like a comedy floor, a film floor. And I'm pretty sure that when you start out, you can request to be on one of those floors. There's also a test that Emerson gives out if you don't have a roommate. That's how I was able to get my roommate. I took a test and I kind of put everything how I live. I was like, I wake up early in the morning, I'm really clean. And then they matched me up with a person whose answers were similar to mine, and it worked out really, really well for me. But you could also apply to you could choose a friend to live with if you have one. You could apply for a single dorm, which is a little bit harder to get, but the little building dorm is full of doubles and triples and a few singles. So it's definitely a really interesting, unique opportunity. There's some freshmen who do end up getting placed in another dorm, Paramount typically, but for the most part, everybody's in little building, and it's just a really good place to establish community. And you have RAs hosting a bunch of events, and it's just a great way to meet people.
Great, thank you. I realize we moved on from the next steps on to the other questions, and I forgot to take the slide down, so I'm just going to do that now, and we will come back to the remaining steps later. But continuing on, Raphael, could you talk about when students arrive to campus? When is that typically? We've had questions from both international and domestic students, and what type of programming do we have for them?
Yeah, so typically it's gonna be the last weekend of August for the most part. They're gonna be arriving to campus, and you spend a whole week in Boston on campus in your dorm during that first week of orientation. The following week is when classes usually start. So you can expect to get here during that time, start to meet your fellow students. International students normally arrive a couple of days earlier than everybody else. So it gives them that time to settle, get to know the city, get to know other international students, and get the hang, really plan out that week of orientation. It's a really busy week, but it's filled with information, with activities, and with opportunities to get to know the city of Boston and also campus. So highly recommend that you're here for orientation, that you can enjoy it, and definitely enjoy the wonderful weather that we're going to have during that time. So looking forward to seeing you all on campus in a few months.
And in particular, I know there were some questions about whether orientation includes kind of an introduction to not only Emerson, but the city of Boston. Can you speak to that a little bit? And also, if any of the students ultimately want to chime in about your orientation experience, feel free after Raphael.
Yeah, I mean, definitely there's way too many activities during that week. And some of that includes, going to certain parts of the city. So the students will speak a little bit more about that, but we are located in downtown. So you have the Boston Common, the Public Garden, the Esplanade. It's a gorgeous place to go during that time of the year to walk, relax, see the Charles River. So definitely there's gonna be plenty of opportunities for you to do that, and especially during the fall. I highly recommend that you explore the city of Boston, but your RAs, your orientation leaders will have activities guiding you and explaining to you a little bit more of what Boston is all about. And then a piece of advice for all of you, get a T-Pass, and then go to the last stop of every single line. Really get to know the city, because in that way you can really immerse yourself, see what Boston is all about, given that we're at the center, but there is a lot around us. So that would be my piece of advice if you really want to get to know the city.
Awesome, thank you. Sophie, would you mind just talking a little bit about changing your major? So we have a few folks who are curious if they know already that they want to change their major, or maybe they decide during the course of their study that that's something they'd like to do. I believe you've done that, yes?
Yes. So I actually initially came to campus and applied to Emerson as a journalism major. Before I even got to campus, realized that it's not really what I wanted to do after I committed. And I got it solved very quickly, especially because I knew so early on it was definitely a very smooth process. But the way that usually happens is that you meet with your advisor and you just kind of talk about a plan, especially depending on how far you are on in the process, seeing if any of the credits that you've already taken can be credits for a different major that you want to switch into, or just be counted as electives. And yeah, our academic advising team is really, really good. They're very good at making game plans for like any big changes you want to do or things you want to add on or take away. And it's essentially you have to talk to your advisor and you contact the head of the department you'd like to switch into. And you two talk a little bit about why you want to switch, and like what your goals are with the major. And it is a thing that just gets processed, and it's, especially if you do it very early on, it's quite an easy switch. But again, our academic advising team is really, really big help, no matter where you are in your career here at Emerson.
Great, thank you. I know we do have some follow-up questions in the Q&A. I just wanted to address these all at once. I'm not sure if we have exact move-in dates yet. We are checking to see if we do. So just know that we are taking a look for that, but they may not be available quite yet. It's a touch early. Can you talk about some of the resources we have available for students after they graduate? How do we, what tools do we have for students as they're looking for employment? Our Career Development Center, if you can just dig into that a little bit.
Sure. So one thing I really love about Emerson College's network, right, or village, is that we start preparing you for your life after Emerson while you're at Emerson College. So our Career Development Office is an excellent resource that will start to get you connected to these industries and these areas that you're eventually going to be going into before you leave Emerson. And so there's actually sort of a track program that you'll start, that you'll follow. And so by the time you graduate, you've already had connections and networks. And I like to talk about our alumni network, because a lot of times in these particular areas and industries of employment, it's not always what you know, but sometimes it's who you know. And so our alumni network, otherwise known as the Mafia, they really, and they're named that because of the fact that they are very family oriented and they understand what it takes to be an Emerson student because they just were an Emerson student. So they are an excellent resource for our students to stay connected to the industries so that by the time you leave, you are already all set and connected. Our Career Development Office, like I mentioned earlier, has a number of tools and resources within it that students can utilize while they're even freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and definitely seniors. So by the time you're not scrambling, you're not trying to figure out things, you've already started making those connections and already started, with your internships and your opportunities, your real life opportunities. You're able to feel secure by the time you leave Emerson College.
Wonderful, thank you. Sophia, could you talk a little bit about the honors program? There's a few questions about that, just what the experience is like and sort of how it relates to both our liberal arts requirements and a person's major requirements.
Yeah, it's one of the best things about Emerson for me and my experience. I really love being in the honors college. I've made so many friends. It was kind of like I walked in and it was a little community in itself. It's really small. And the classes are seminar style, so they're really talking based and you get to know people really fast. So most of my friends, especially freshman year, were from honors. It's really it's academically challenging, but you learn so much. And I think, especially when you're studying something more artistic, it's a little bit difficult to get real world like experiences. And a lot of people talk about how when they go to a school that's not a liberal arts school that has more requirements for them, like in terms of you have to take a science class and a math class, just like you do here, but they're different. They're more like there are more traditional science and math classes. But I feel like I've been able to learn so much about so many different kinds of subjects. So you have your own liberal arts requirements when you're in the honors college. Freshman year, you take two, or I think it counts as a total of 3 requirements. So you take 2 classes. The first is basically just like a critical theory seminar, and you're doing a lot of reading and in-depth analysis. And then that prepares you for your second semester when you start working on your first research paper, which ends up being about 25 to 30 pages. And you have a writing symposium workshop that you do. And your professors really guide you through that. So that also is in preparation for your honors thesis, which you're going to have to do your junior or senior year. And they just really want to get you in the headspace of writing a research paper. You get to choose your own topic. So there's a lot of freedom and a lot of guidance from your professors. And you've been working with them for 1 full year. So you'll know the professors that you have from the beginning. And then sophomore year, you tend to have to take a science class or and then an ethics class. So there's 1 semester you take science, 1 semester you take ethics, and those fulfill different liberal arts requirements. And then that way you don't have to fulfill the same ethics and values perspectives or the same science perspective that other students have to fulfill. And then junior year, you usually take an interdisciplinary class, a higher level one. And that's with other students who aren't in the honors program. And then senior year, people typically take their pre-thesis and then their honors thesis class. And that's when you write your 50 to 60 page honors thesis, which I'm doing right now. And you could also do a 30-page paper and a creative project. I decided to do the 60-page paper and a creative project because I'm crazy, but most people don't do that. But it's really fun, and there's a lot of help and guidance, and the head of the honors program, John, I love him. He's there for you. So if you have any questions, or if you feel like you want to talk to somebody about coming into the college and have questions about the honors program, definitely would recommend reaching out to him. He's a lovely man, and he's helped me so much with my thesis. My major is media arts production. So I'm studying film and also doing an honors thesis currently. But yeah, it's an amazing program. I feel really lucky to be in it, and I've learned so much.
Perfect. Thank you. I have a soft spot for the honors program too. I participated when I was a student here, and I get to help read the applications now, which is very special. Starting with Chloe and then Sophie and Sophia, if you want to chime in, please feel free. Can you talk about the opportunities to get involved at Emerson? What our organization fair looks like and what types of organizations we have available?
Yeah, so I'd love to talk about this. We have so many amazing organizations on campus, and there truly is something for everyone, no matter, your academic interest or your personal interest. So, we have a cappella groups. There's a bunch of different ones, competing and non-competing. We have one specifically for student of color as well, which is awesome. But yeah, if you're interested in music and singing, we have that. And then also we have a lot of professional organizations. Like I mentioned before, I'm part of the Public Relations Student Society of America, and we are a national organization. There's a bunch of different, schools that also participate in it. So we have Boston University, I think Northeastern as well, and other colleges around the country. But yeah, that has been an amazing opportunity to develop, both professionally and also personally. And, other than that, we have a lot of other amazing organizations on campus. We have, I think, countless magazines, from a music magazine to more, fashion magazines and things like that. Additionally, I was part of MCOM, which is the student-run marketing agency at Emerson, which is so awesome because you're able to have real clients do marketing work for them, which is super cool. And then also we have, Lunchbox magazine, which I was part of, which is, a magazine for Asian American students. So really, there's so much to do on campus, and it's such an inclusive and awesome community. And I'm sure the other students can also talk about their experiences.
Yeah, just going off of that, the like main joke that we talk about is that if there is anything that you want to be a part of, there is an organization for it at Emerson. And if not, you can make it. It's very easy to start your own organization. Chloe definitely listed a lot. Like, the big thing that a lot of people get worried about is if they wanted to do musical theater, or they were considering doing musical theater or performance of some way, and they didn't get into a performance program, people get really worried that they can't still do theater. We have so many student theater groups. Every single weekend there are shows going on, musical or otherwise, that are open to any student of any major. I've worked on a few, and I'm a writing major, which is super fun. I work on a lot of magazines, as Chloe was saying. We have a bunch. We have our own, Emerson's own publishing house. It's the org is called Emerson Undergraduate Students for Publishing. And every semester, we have a student submitted manuscript, and we actually publish their novel. We go through it. We get several rounds of editing, copy editing, and then they get an ISBN. And so they get a physical book that has an ISBN number that is just an actual published novel at the end of the semester. And we have a launch party for them, and it's very cute. And so there are some very cool, very intricate things going on at campus that, yeah. And so once a semester, we have the org fair, which is, I've been on both sides of it. It's awesome. It's very chaotic. It's everywhere. And there is just so much going on that you can be a part of.
I think you guys covered a lot really well, but just to specifically speak to VMA, there's also film productions happening every single weekend. There's an Instagram account called Emerson Crew Calls and Emerson Casting Calls, and people tend to post on there whenever they're starting something. People are always trying to shoot. It can be affiliated with the school or not, but they still tend to go through those accounts to hire people. I've done productions like pretty independently by myself and got an Emerson people to work on them. I've also done a bunch of productions in conjunction with Emerson, and Emerson's given funding for those projects that you can pitch them to student organizations like Emerson Independent Video, Frames Per Second, National Broadcast Society. All of those have opportunities for you to get involved, whether it be with like on location film or stuff in studio where you can learn how to use the control room. And there's a bunch of workshops and resources, even on the Emerson website, where you can learn what a grip does, what a gaffer does, what a sound recordist does, how to use all the equipment. So all of that is accessible to you. Honestly, even if you're not a student, you could look it up on the website and look at it. So there's always something going on, always ways to get involved. And I would just really recommend trying to immerse yourself as much as possible and go out for as many things, because you're bound to get a yes, even if, you know, even if some things don't work out. And there's so many opportunities for freshmen. So if you're eager and you really want to jump onto something, absolutely go for it.
Also on that, sorry to touch again, but just something that I really want to like hammer in is the cross-major collaboration thing. It's a huge thing at Emerson. Again, I'm a writing major. I'm currently assistant directing a student film. I forgot to mention that. It's like you, even if you are not studying film or you're not studying theater, you can get involved in these things. I was just in a soundstage all weekend, helping with a student film. And I've recorded audio for films. Like if you have any sort of interest in a thing that's beyond your major, you can 100% get involved in it, which is a really, really cool thing about Emerson, because we have so many cool programs where people are very knowledgeable and are happy to teach other people what they know. Super cool.
Thank you all. And a couple of folks asked, is there a list of organizations that exist somewhere? Yes. In the chat, someone hopefully will put the link. We have a part of our website called MConnect where all of our student organizations are listed. You do not have to already be an Emersonian to see the initial list. You can sort them by type, and you can certainly go in and look and see which organizations are available in kind of which categories. I did want to remind folks, it is very helpful to us if you put all questions in the Q&A box. If it is a very personal question that you don't feel comfortable asking publicly, we would certainly encourage you to send us an email at admission@emerson.edu. We're happy to tackle those questions there as well. But any questions for tonight would help us wonderfully if you could put those in the Q&A box, just because we have many, many questions and not many eyeballs who are trying to keep track of them. So we appreciate your help. Just to ask or go through a couple of kind of cleanup questions to some of the things we've already talked about. Roommate selection will happen after folks have committed to Emerson. So after the deposit deadlines, there's no rush for first come, first serve, since it is required for our freshman students to live on campus. So you don't need to worry about that. That form will come out a bit later. Roommates do change every year, or at least the first year may be dependent upon that matching process. And then in subsequent years, you're choosing who you want to live with. A few people have asked about our admitted student day. So let me, for just a moment, put that screen back up and make sure I share the right one. So we do have a couple of admitted student events coming up. So the first one will be Saturday, April 6th. A couple of people have mentioned that it might be full. I think the issue might actually be there's a limit to the number of guests we can welcome on campus for each student. So if you're having trouble registering, try with a smaller number of guests and see if that works. And if not, feel free to give us a call. We can help you out with that. The other thing is a virtual Picture Yourself at Emerson Week. So if you're not able to make it to campus in person, we're going to have some events the week of April 15th. They're all at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So go ahead and sign up for those. There's a variety available. So even if you are coming in person, you're also welcome to do the virtual events. And I'll put this screen up just for a moment. These QR codes are both best scanned by students. So the first one is for our ZME community. So if you want to connect with other students, other admitted Emerson students, we certainly encourage you to join our ZME community. So you can do that with the QR code on the left. And if you would like to register for our events, you can primarily do so through your portal. But if you would like to do it through the web, the QR code on the right will take you there as well. I'll leave those up for just a moment. Crystal, let me come your way. Can you talk a little bit about our rules around accepting credits? So things like AP, IB, dual enrollment. Do we automatically get those? Do folks have to send them? And which ones do we accept for credit?
Sorry, I caught myself. Sure. So we do accept credits. We do have an evaluation process for the credits, and I'd be more than happy to put that information, the specifics in the chat. But we do accept dual enrollment, AP credits with the testing, again, with certain scores. And feel free to, how do I say it? Get the specifics. I will definitely put that in the chat as far as each subject and what test score you need in order to get those transferred. But we do accept all of those. And when you get admitted, we'll take a look at your transcript, and we'll be able to tell you then which classes and which, what do you call it? Excuse me, scores are eligible for those credits to transfer over. So in short, yes. And I am going to put the link right in the chat so you'll see specifically what the numbers are for those tests to get transferred in.
Thank you. It is also worth mentioning that for math and language specifically, you may be able to waive those requirements. Crystal, do you mind expanding on that a little bit?
Oops. Yes, sure. So, and again, I will put that information in the chat to be more specific. But if you do have those particular classes that you've taken for math in a particular language, we are able to waive those classes. So when you come to Emerson, you won't have to take them. And I'm about to just copy and paste that in the chat for you so you have all of the specifics information, but just know that that is a possibility when you come to Emerson.
Great, thank you so much. We certainly appreciate your patience as we make our way through all of these questions. There are quite a few, so just trying to keep them all organized and make sure we get to everything. For anyone who missed at the beginning, there will be a recording of this. We will email it out to you in about a week or so. So if you miss anything or want to come back to any information, we can certainly come back around and address that. Camille and/or Raphael, can you just talk a little bit about international students and when they should expect to start receiving those documents for I-20s and visas?
Yeah, of course. So I-20s are processed as we receive complete documents from the student post-deposit. So once you've submitted your deposit, we will take a look at all of your I-20 documents to make sure that they are complete and accurate towards what we need to be able to plug in to the I-20 data for CVIS. We've actually started rolling out some I-20s for students. So for some of those students who have already deposited, you can anticipate in the next couple of weeks starting to receive emails from our operations team for you to just double check that the information is accurate within your I-20 form. And once you have emailed us back and said, yes, this information is correct, we will then go ahead and send over your final official I-20 via email, as well as some helpful information as you go through the process of paying your I-901 fee, as well as setting up your appointment and receiving that final F1 visa. We will be hosting a webinar in May. So I would certainly encourage all of our international students who do require an F1 visa or are transferring their CVIS record from a current institution that they are attending to attend that webinar so that you can get some additional more complete information from our team as well as the Office of International Student Affairs.
Great, thank you. We got a few of these, so I just wanted to go ahead and address this out loud. It's somewhat of a niche financial question, but we've gotten it a few times, so might as well. We do have, as part of our default options, we do offer a health insurance plan. So if your student is not already going to be covered in Massachusetts specifically by your health insurance, you can leave that option on there. If your student will be covered by your health insurance, you can submit to have that removed from your billing. If you're not sure, you may just want to check with your health insurance provider to make sure that they will be covered here specifically. But that will be an opportunity provided. That there is no charge for any of the health and wellness services that are provided on campus. But if they were to see a provider off campus, that is where that health insurance coverage would come into play. All three of the students, maybe starting with Sophie and then going to Chloe and Sophia, just because that's the order you're on the screen. Can you just talk about what you're doing when you're not in class? What's the social life like around campus?
Yeah, I mean, personally, as well, I think as Chloe and Sophia, I have a job. I work for the Emerson admissions office. So a lot of the time when I'm not in class, I am at work, which I do. I love working for Emerson. Um, and I also, like I said, I'm in a bunch of clubs. I am in club meetings a lot. I have board meetings for some of the magazines that I'm on. I have rehearsals for my a cappella group, or if I'm working on any productions, I'm at rehearsals for that. Um, but a lot of the time, personally, I am in my dorm a lot and I like to read. I don't personally go out a lot, but there is definitely a very lively social culture at Emerson that is very, very easy, especially as a freshman to get involved in. It is very easy to make friends as a freshman at Emerson. I think Sophia was joking earlier that like you can make friends in a single elevator trip. It's true. Everyone is new and everyone doesn't know anyone. So it's very easy to find people that are very similar to you and like the same things you like and want to do the same things you do. And you can go see movies. We have a movie theater right there, and you can go anywhere on the T. Like Raphael said, get a T pass. That is how you get anywhere. And so there's definitely a lot to do on campus and around campus because we are right in the middle of Boston. So some really good food as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just adding on to what Sophie said, I definitely agree. Like our location is a big part of why I chose Emerson in the first place, and also why I love the school so much. So, we're right, across from the Boston Common, an amazing park, the Public Garden and Boston Common. So, sometimes you need a break from class, a break from your homework, you can go walk around the park, get some fresh air. So that's definitely awesome. Additionally, we have amazing restaurants and activities that happen in Boston all the time. Boston is a very college centric town with a lot of students. So, you might have friends from Emerson, but also friends from neighboring colleges like BU, Northeastern, BC, MIT, Harvard, the list goes on and on. But yeah, really, there's so many opportunities to, do things over the weekends. There's so many amazing restaurants, our North End, amazing bakeries. Personally, big on bovas. I know the bovas and Mike's pastry debate goes on and on, but yeah, there's amazing opportunities to have fun both on campus and off campus. And yeah, it's a great city, so many amazing places to go. And yeah, I've been here for 3 to almost 4 years and still have not explored everything. So definitely so many opportunities.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I'm pretty go, go, go. I'm like never home. I'm always out, always doing things. I don't sleep much. I'm like really, I've tried to take advantage of everything that Boston has to offer and everything that Emerson has to offer. And yeah, when I'm not in class, I'm at work or on set. That pretty much takes up a lot of my time, but I also just love hanging out with my friends and going places. It's a lot about like what you make it. We go on a lot of adventures. I'm an AMC A-list member, so I'm always there watching movies at the AMC by Emerson, which is really awesome. Most of the people in the VMA department are AMC A-list members, so you will always have someone to go with. But I go alone too. I don't care. So I'm like, I just love going out. I love Boston. It's such a fun city. I live in Fenway now. I'm off campus, and there's a beautiful rose garden like right in front of my apartment, and the Museum of Fine Arts that you can go to for free as an Emerson student. There's just so many fun, amazing things to do all the time. Museum of Fine Arts, the other night, they hosted like a late night event. And it was just open to everybody to go, and they had a whole new exhibit that people got to see, and it was super cool. There's always stuff going on. I've had a lot of really fun experiences. So just there's Explore Boston pages on Instagram. I follow all of those, and I'm pretty clued into what's going on. There's a Fenway flea market that opens during like spring and summer. I love it there. I'm always there. There's in the South End, I think there's, what's it called? Oh my God, SOWA, the vintage market. That's amazing. It's open every Sunday, and there's a bunch of vendors, really good, like ethically sourced stuff. And there's so many areas. I've recently been exploring Seaport because I realized I had never really explored Seaport, and they have a bunch of super fun things there too. So yeah, cannot recommend just like putting yourself out there and exploring. And if you lose sleep, you can catch up later. That's my philosophy.
Also, if you get a library card, so as just like towards the like, if you're an Emerson, if you're a college student, you can go to the MFA for free, and there's I think a few other museums that you can. But if you get a library card, which is with any public library, but it's particularly in Boston, you can borrow passes to like the aquarium, or I think the Gardner Museum is another
I'm
one.
going tomorrow.
Yeah. There are so many fun little places to go around Boston, and even just like I think Chloe said, we're directly on the common. When it gets nice out, I go on the common and I sit under a tree and I read. And I look like I'm trying to be so cool and mysterious, but it's actually just really nice to just be in nature and be outside. There are so many places that you don't need to spend money to go out and enjoy being in Boston. It's a lovely city.
Thank you. You guys actually touched on a couple questions there, so I appreciate the thoroughness. We are getting towards the end of our time together, so we are going to answer the remaining questions that are in the Q&A. We might be typing out some answers for you, so just keep an eye out for those. A couple of final questions before we do that, however. The students and then staff, if you have an opinion on this, feel free. In kind of a quick lightning round, if you would. Can you talk about what the dining options are like on campus? What do you recommend?
Yeah, I can start. Oh,
I'm so
you
sorry.
can
You
go.
start. You start.
Sorry. Okay, I'll go really quick. So yeah, our dining options are awesome. So no matter if you're gluten-free, vegetarian, maybe lactose intolerant, there's an option for everyone. Our amazing salad bar, always a great option. We have burgers, pizzas all the time, always have pasta, drinks, everything. And then we also have, some other options other than just the dining hall. So we have the backstage deli for like Subway type of vibe sandwiches, paninis, things like that. We have the Lion's Den where they, have a bunch of grab and go options and you can study there. And then my personal favorite, Pick and Roll, which is a sushi place. Love Victor, he's my guy. Love it there. You can have, sushi, ramen, dumplings, anything. And it really is awesome. So there are dining options for everyone, no matter your dietary restrictions. And yeah, it's great. And the Max, can't forget the Max, late night eats, if you want an Impossible Nuggets or, fries and things like that, it's always an option for you.
Yeah, as a student who lives on campus, and so I still have the on-campus meal plan, I go to the dining hall pretty much every single day. There's an entire station that I'm vegetarian that is solely vegetarian and vegan food, and it's really good. Always very fun kinds of tofu and stuff. And like Chloe was saying, we also have Pick and Roll, which is a sushi place that's technically not an Emerson dining hall, but it does accept board bucks, which are a part of the meal plan. So you can use your meal plan to get sushi, which is awesome. And additionally, if you have EC Cash, which is something that you can load into your card, you can use that at a lot of places around, like Tate, which is like the bakery on the corner, or El Jefe's, which is like a Mexican place that is actually like underneath LB, so is Tate. And so there's a lot of good options, and the deli is really, really good. I just want to plug that real quick. The deli is so good.
Great, thank
Covered
you.
it.
Since we are coming close to the hour mark here, I want to be mindful of folks' time. So I'm going to put up the next step slide one more time, just so folks have that reminder. And then while that's up, if folks could go around and one last piece of quick advice you have for folks as they're considering their options and how to move forward. If we could go in the order of introductions, if at all possible, that would be super helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. I think what helped me the most through my college admissions process was just trusting my gut. I was really fortunate to get a great financial aid opportunity here, especially with the Honors College, and that was really, really special and helped me be able to come here. But I just really walked onto Emerson and I felt like this was where I needed to be and this was home. And I think that hopefully you can all have that moment and just as you go picking where you're going to end up. If you feel like Emerson makes you feel like home, then I think you should totally come. It's about finding where you'll feel happy and at peace and where you think you're going to learn the most and get the most out of your experience.
Yeah, so my advice would be kind of similar to what Sophia was saying, but also on the flip side, it's okay if you don't have that aha moment where you're like, oh my God, everything's perfect, or like everything's as it seems. I think a lot of times, maybe we've seen, college like movies or, things where everything seems so glamorized, but sometimes it's not like that, and that's totally okay. It's okay to, go out of your comfort zone and try to experience new things. I think for me, like Boston is such an amazing, city for so many amazing resources, both, professionally in your career or just like personally for fun and to meet new people and, experience new things. So it's definitely okay if you're unsure. I think this can, we all have to remember college is a time where it can be stressful and you might not know what choices to make, but that's definitely okay for, picking a college and picking a city. We're always here for you. And, at Emerson, everyone's always has, open arms to welcome you. And if you have any questions or you feel stressed about anything, we're always here. So that's a big reason why I think Emerson is a great college. And, I can go on and on about Boston in general, but yeah, definitely it's okay if you're unsure and you want to experience new things. But yeah, just always reach out if you need help.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything that was said before. My one like very specific piece of advice is no matter where you go, I highly recommend trying to meet people as soon as possible. I don't know if they're still doing like Facebook groups and Instagram pages and stuff, but like meeting people that are going to be in your same like major or like area is just really nice. And even if they aren't the people that you're going to stick with all 4 years, it's just nice to know people as soon as possible. It's like I said before, it's gonna be it's awkward. No one knows anyone, but that's why everyone is so kind of like willing to make friends so early. And it's a lot easier than you think it's gonna be. Like everyone is there for the same thing. And yeah. Mm.
I'll have staff give quick advice as well, but that's actually a great segue that you mentioned. I did switch the slide on screen. So Facebook appears to be out, unfortunately, for students, but Zeme is in. So if you do want to join our Zeme community as a student, that QR code on the left will take you right there. It's also in most of our email signatures as well, so you can find it somewhere. There is a Facebook group, however, for the parents of admitted students or family members of admitted students. So if you are looking for that and can't find it, just send us a quick email. We'll be happy to share the link with you to join that. But Raphael, Crystal, and Camille, any last pieces of advice for folks?
I would say my biggest piece of advice for students is to just enjoy this time. You've done the hard part of getting in. Now is your time to really explore all of the wonderful options that you have in front of you and ask those questions of our students. I would certainly recommend connecting with our current students, not only through the Zeme platform, but we also have an option to have a chat one-on-one with one of our students. It can be based on if you're a transfer student, it can be based on if you're looking to connect with somebody within your major area of interest. It could be based on diversity and international status. So if you're looking to connect with somebody who has gone through that experience as a multicultural or international student, you can do that as well. That is probably my best advice. Really just talk to us and connect with us.
Yeah, as you go through the selection process that you outline now, I think finding a place where you would really love going to class every single day. As with everything, you're not going to love every single bit of it, but that you're happy to be at that place. I think if you heard our students today, you notice their happiness, their joy of being in Boston with their classes, activities, and that will bring you that peace of mind because you're committing the next 4 years to this location, to this institution, to the people that will be there with you and for you. So if you find that passion, that commitment, and that love for the things that you are also passionate about, I think that's the right place for you. And hopefully Emerson is that place.
Both of them took my answer. So I'm going to go with, I want you to take advantage of visit options. And, you know, for some of you, you may not be able to physically be on the campus. We hope that you will be. So we have the virtual options. But if you can see yourself physically in that place, not only the campus, but the city, the surrounding areas, I would say that that may be the place for you. Like Raphael said, it's going to be your home away from home for potentially 4 years, and you want to be comfortable on the campus, in the buildings, and in the city or the town that you're in. So hopefully you will find much gratitude and satisfaction with Emerson's surroundings because it's a very just a really cool place to be in Boston. And you're not only going to be connecting with Emerson students, but there are plethora of colleges, and universities where you could connect with so many different students from all over the world. So that would be my piece of advice.
And my last piece of advice, as folks around here may know, is to please check your email. I always advise this. It's the first thing I think I say when anyone asks for advice. In all seriousness, we do communicate with you quite a bit via email, not only to potentially ask you questions, but let you know there are updates in your portal, to let you know about webinars like this. So please keep an eye on that. If you used a school email as your primary email address as a graduating student, you should contemplate changing that to a personal email, just because many schools turn off their school emails once you leave as a student, and then you will definitely not get our email. So please check in on that. You can always change it with us or ask us for help if you need assistance with that. And more fully, please keep using us as your resource. We are here and available for you for any questions or concerns you might have. If anything we talked about tonight raised some follow-up questions that you just thought of, please reach out to us. Our email address and phone number will drop in the chat, and your admission counselor is always listed in your admission portal, so you can feel free to reach out to them directly as well. We appreciate you all joining us tonight, keeping with it as we ran just a touch over, but you asked a lot of great questions, so we wanted to make sure to get to as many of them as possible. We'll finish up these last ones in the Q&A here. Thank you so much for joining us. Keep an eye out for things coming up in the future, and we will look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thank you so much.